What of Sir Keir Starmer's initial refusal to back her, Mr. Farage?
It was very odd, wasn't it? Because
Well, it struck me as odd, but you were sitting there.
Well, Nick, when you work as part of a team, if one of the members of a team is limping a bit, you try and give them a hand. And of all the moments to say, well, she might not stay, and then he left after the PMQs. He left without even saying anything to her.
It was left to her sister, I think, to support her.
Yeah, and it did look a bit callous. I just thought, this just isn't good.
The way that Kemi Badenoch piled in, acceptable? Contact sport of politics?
I think the second question was perhaps a bit harsh. I think having sort of gone in there, I think to go in again looks a little bit harsh. I sat pretty much opposite her yesterday. It was pretty painful to watch from the very beginning. I thought she was ill to begin with. Look, they have done just the most enormous damage. There are 25 men and women, Charlotte, in that cabinet. 24 of them have never run a business. And the only one that did went bust. So they've got no comprehension of what you do, of the risks you take, of the hours you work. I think the particularly, national insurance increase, devastating. I mean, I don't know a small employer who's taking anyone fresh on. So do I have any sympathy for Rachel Reeves? She lied on her CV. She's hopelessly out of her depth. They're damaging the British economy beyond belief. I'm sorry for her personally. For yesterday, should she go? Absolutely. I think the way we run our country is ridiculous. We put cabinet ministers in charge of departments over which they have absolutely zero knowledge. They'll often last in that job for 12, 18 months. I mean, barely time to get their feet under the table and understand the brief. But we're stuck in this mindset, Kevin, that the cabinet must all be politicians in the House of Commons. Why? Why? It's nonsense. Look at America. Scott Bessent has come in as the US Treasury Secretary. Never stood for election in his life, but a very, very successful businessman.
So who are some of the people you might have your eye on?
Oh, I'm not going to give you answers like that right now.
But a cabinet under Nigel Farage, you wouldn't have to be the MP for Upper Whoop Whoop. No. You could be a hugely successful businessman or woman who ran a supermarket chain for 10 years.
Or whatever it may be. But I do think, I really mean this, I do think that you've got to think a little bit more about running the public finances as if you're running a business.
Final question comes from Pat in Worcester Park, who points out that some of your former colleagues have launched new parties. Rupert Lowe, Restore Britain, Ben Habib, Advance UK. How concerned are you, asks Pat?
I think there are now 15 centre-right political parties, all one-man bands, all led by people whose egos are much bigger than the reality of the impact they can ever have. This guy, villain, was saying kill IDF soldiers a couple of weeks before.
When it starts going out like that, and you start waving Palestinian flags and you're starting to... Why wasn't the feed cut? Why didn't they pull the plug?
Well, and here's the extraordinary thing. Do you know how many staff the BBC had at Glastonbury?
400, I've read.
400! 400 staff. And, yeah, they should have used a delay, which they could have done quite comfortably. Very easy to fade out from that into the next programme, not technically hard. But, yeah, why did no one exercise any discretion at all? I would suggest, Shana, it's because so many people that work from the BBC come from the same background and have the same views.
Is Glastonbury safe in the BBC's hands?
No. Thank goodness at the end for Lulu and Rod Stewart, and that sort of saved the whole thing, didn't it, really?
Brexit was a disaster. You don't have any policies. You don't show us an MP. Last summer, you incited race riots on our streets. You're now anti-gay marriage and anti-women's rights.
Right, well,
so why do you think that you're fit to lead the country?
Don't vote for me. Please don't vote for me. Thank you. I'm not here to please everybody. I am here to stand up for what I think are the right courses of action.
But some would say you did that over Brexit, and I think had Dan been able to enter into conversation with you, he'd have said, and Brexit has been a disaster, Mr. Farage.
Well, he probably got poisoned at university or something like that.
But you think Brexit's not been a disaster?
No, of course it's not been. How is getting back the right to govern your own country? How can that ever be wrong?